Okay. So I was asked to lead a bit of practice and talk a bit about what's called the three doors in the Dharma, or body, speech, and mind. And I think, again, the best way to start experiencing these kinds of things from the inside is just through practice. So let's begin again just by getting into our bodies. So I invite you to come into a comfortable seated posture. And just feeling your contact with the ground and the cushion. Now we're going to shake it up. So bringing your arms up, breathing in and breathing out, bringing them to shoulder level. Breathing in and starting to shake and out. In and out. In and out. And then up and then bring them down. Now, if you're able, doing the same thing with your feet. So rocking back a little bit and bringing your feet up and shaking them, breathing in and out, in and out, in and out. Bring your arms up and breathing out again, relaxing. And then one more cycle now, breathing in and feet up and bring the arms down and shaking out, shaking the feet and the hands. 2 and 3. And then the last one, bring the arms up, breathing in and breathing out again. Breathing naturally. Noticing activation in the body. Now let's take 3 long, deep breaths, full breaths. Breathing first the belly, breathing in, and then the chest, and filling all the way to the top. And breathing out from the top down, all the way down into the belly, and then pulling the belly back and squeezing out all the rest of the air. Again, breathing in and out. Really fully exploring the extent of the breath. And out. Again, just breathing naturally. And feeling how the breath is settled into the body. And notice that as the breath moves into and disperses throughout the body, the mind is right there. And as you leave the body in its own place, and you allow the breath to settle in its own way. You can recognize that mind is there as well. And this simple practice of resting or arriving is sometimes called the three naturals, or arriving with body, speech, and mind, or the natural resting of the three doors. So the first door of body, obviously, it includes our physical body. And when we practice, a lot of the way that we experience it is through our body. But it's not limited to the boundary of our body. In a larger sense, body includes everything that has a name, a form, a shape, color, all of the appearances that surround us. So now when we rest naturally in our body, it's not just feeling this kind of local bounded sensation, but it's also just arriving here in the environment, allowing everything around us to just settle just as it is. Maybe it's moving, but our relationship with it is spacious, it's allowing, it's open. Then speech, the next aspect, has to do with our breath, obviously, the faculty of speech, of resonance, of communication. Um, it's the vital energy of the body. It's the sometimes called the elan vital, like the life force of phenomena around us. But everything's vibrating, everything is moving, everything is alive with a type of breath of life, even if it's not an animate creature. There is some kind of resonance and aliveness to it. And all of this is encompassed by what, when we say body, speech, and mind, what we mean by speech. And of course, particularly sublime speech. So words of wisdom, waves of wisdom, um, blessing, that kind of thing. The the way that we receive that and feel that. Energy is a very vague term, but you could say that energy. Um, and then mind is what is inside of all of that. Mind, when we begin our practice, it's the moment to moment awareness of our body and breath. We're riding on the breath, we can kind of feel the way the breath moves throughout the body. and our awareness is right there. It's also the movements of thoughts and emotions. Um, Mind is containing that. Um, and environmentally, mind is the space that holds all of this, both the body, all of the forms, and all of the energy, all of the resonance. All of this is occurring in space, in a space that's holding it all, accommodating it all, but a space that is also um, has a quality of knowing. It's not neutral space. It's not empty space that holds, but it holds and knows at the same time. It is empty and cognizant is usually the way that it's talked about. So it is an accommodating space that also has a quality of knowing about it. And these three dimensions are actually all dimensions of a single reality. Body, speech, and mind together is just, you might say, what is. It's hard to say reality, but it is um, it is the ground. Um, and there's two ways that that can manifest. We can either recognize body, speech, and mind in their natural state, or we can mistake them for being any number of things. Um, we, Solid objects that are outside and across from us, an experience of energy, an identity that is me, that I say is my mind. These are all mistaken ways of seeing body, speech, and mind. Natural ways of seeing body, speech, and mind, my body, things that arise around me, are just appearing freely. Um, the aspect of resonance of speech, that everything is a teaching, that everything is, um, we can learn from every moment, every movement of every moment, um, and that it's all occurring in a free way, in an open way, and that mind itself uh, is this, when we recognize it, is not limited to an ego that knows, but is the pervasive, open field that encompasses everything and holds everything, and knows at the same time. So body, speech, and mind all together then is the awakened state when recognized, and is the obscured state when not recognized, is the confused state, is the sort of sleepwalking state. And so now, what that means for us, moment to moment, and just in general in our practice, when we sit down, there's different methods, of course, but at the end of the day, this method of the threefold natural settling, um, the motivation behind that is that when we leave body, speech, and mind, uh, leave them in their own place without altering them, without, there's this phrase called um, dressing things up with feathers or denigrating, drodok, in Tibetan. So we're always trying to dress our body up with whatever, right? In that sort of style. But there's an embellishment, an elaboration of appearances. We want to whip them up to make them like more special or something like that. More intriguing, more seductive, more interesting, entertaining, whatever. Um, and similarly with speech, there's affectation, there is again embellishment, there is this kind of wanting to be uh, charged, wanting to be stimulated, right, by that energy. Um, and and mind is just, it's so boring that we feel like it's so boring that we want to fill up that space. with thoughts and with divisions and with all sorts of movement of mind. Um, and all of that is fine. Dressing up, like I said, the body is could be stylish, and the affectation of speech can be poetry, right, or verse, right? And the way that the mind can be filled is its natural quality of luminescence. It's always making light um, and moving and manifesting in different ways. And all of that is fine. But when we forget um, that that's what we're doing, and we are unable to actually just be natural because we're so bound by compulsion and habit, that we can't just naturally rest and allow body, speech, and mind to be just as they are without dressing them up, um, or on the other hand, denigrating them, ignoring them, putting them down, um, not honoring them. Um, then we land, it's the basis of confusion, and we land in kind of cycle. And this is really what Shugen Roshi was talking about a few weeks ago when he was talking about the Eightfold Noble Path and the aspect of the view of wisdom. Um, that first aspect of the Eightfold Path. And the way that he presented it was really about karma, action, and the way that action results in reaction, and how that reaction can snowball, can multiply, can pick up speed, and has reverberations that come back in different ways. And so all of that takes place through body, speech, and mind. Um, Physical actions being the most gross, right? When we act in a confused way, um, generally a harmful way, then that action sends out reverberations, and eventually they come back to us in different ways, and we feel the echo, we feel the return of that action in different ways, and that action sets off other reactions in other individuals that reverberate, um, and the whole thing just keeps growing larger, right? Again, with our speech, same thing, and even with our mind, uh, thinking different thoughts, being fixated on different ways of thinking, especially um, unhealthy ways of thinking, and having limited views in different ways. All of this will filter down, first of all, through into speech and then into body, and also can affect those around us. And so there's this, there's a kind of top down and bottom up thing going on, where our actions create reactions that we then experience in our mind and maybe say something about, and then create further actions and reactions. So there's this, between body, speech, and mind, there's kind of a both a bottom up kind of chain, and there's also a top down thing going on, where all of our words and actions, they arise in our mind first. And so when our mind is confused, then we will speak and act in ways that that mirror that confusion, and then create further confusion, confirming our confusion. Um, and then our experience mirrors that back to us. And then we say, maybe, for instance, if we were angry and we said an angry word, and then angry words are turned back to us, it confirms this mistaken belief that of righteous indignation or whatever it might be. So then the mind's delusion is confirmed, and then it reinscribes that confusion with more words and more deeds, and so forth. So all of that is on the confused side. And then on the other side of this ground of body, speech, and mind, when in their natural state, our mind is simply spacious and luminous and cognizant. It is aware and is open and has the freedom to think and create motivation in whatever way is best. And then the words will follow that, and the actions follow that, and so forth. And the actions and words that are created, they also create positive uh, reverberations, but in ways that also snowball. But the positivity of that is something that it will grow on itself, but it doesn't create deeper and deeper obscuration. Um, it can become a trap in some ways, but at the end of the day, it's more transparent and more open, more free, and more reflective of the natural state. And so when it does something, a positive action to you, you know, you feel the open-heartedness of that. And that open-heartedness is open-mindedness. And open-mindedness recognizes its nature much more directly and freely than the opposite. So this is also about ethics. So in the Eightfold Noble Path, you know, we have the wisdom, which is the natural state of body, speech, and mind, knowing that. Um, then we have meditation, which is briefly what we did before. And in every session I lead, generally we do that, the threefold natural settling, arriving in body, speech, and mind, and letting all of the unnatural things that we're holding on to in our body to start to relax maybe a little bit, for our breath to become more settled and even, and that vitality to be recognized more directly. And then most specifically, mind starting to rest and come into its own place, its own seat, sometimes it's said. Um, and so in terms of meditation, meditation happens through body, speech, and mind. And then in terms of ethics, the third dimension of the in the Eightfold Noble Path, there's these three of wisdom, meditation, and ethics. And ethics, as we just talked about, also are all related. Every ethical and unethical action is related to how the body, speech, and mind are either being recognized in their natural condition, or um, are fail to be recognized and become more deeply obscured and unnatural in a sense. And so all of this kind of ties together, and really in our you know, experience, day-to-day life, it's important to be able to have them on our radar, so to speak. And it's always good to start with our body when we're activated, when we're stressed, when we're feeling anything. Simply stopping and allowing the body to be natural. Just allowing it to, if you're sitting, to sit. If you're walking, to simply walk. If you're lying, to lie. Um, and to do that in a natural way. And then building on that, noticing the breath in the body, allowing the breath to come and go in a natural way. And with both of these, like we did in the beginning, sometimes you shake it up to get it really unnatural, so that then it's sort of, everything gets shaken out of its unnatural corner and can settle naturally. And the breath, breathing unnaturally fully, so that then when we're done with that, then the breath can discover its natural rhythm and its natural dimension. And then the basis of those, then mind settles naturally. And whatever it is that we're bewitched by, whatever it is that we're feeling and thinking about, and has run away with us, whatever that is can settle partially maybe, but at least be recognized for what it is, to be seen. Oh, I am stressed. Oh, I am angry. I am fearful. I am having this uncertainty at this moment. You know, I feel uncomfortable and suspended. anxious, whatever that might be, you can see that and allow that to be acknowledged and recognized. And so that's so important. So body, speech, and mind, um, both as the natural condition of our being, as the path, the place, the doors through which the path unfolds, and as the expression of, of that natural state of our wisdom, and as the fruit of our practice of meditation, or simply just living in a wakeful way. The fruit of that is ethical action with our body, with our words, and with our mind. So hopefully that's helpful, and hopefully that gives you something to work with, and a little bit of uh, a rubric, kind of guidelines to sort of orient yourself in the midst of confusion and stress and all this uncertainty that we're hanging in the middle of. Um, and yeah, so thank you. And sorry I wasn't there in person, but I'll definitely be there soon. Things are looking good for that. So, okay. Thank you, everyone.